Before we jump into coding, I want to give you a full overview of what we're going to build in this course. We'll break down the project structure, look at how the Sokoban game logic works behind the scenes, and understand how Phaser ties it all together. Here's what the completed version looks like. We'll start from a simple title screen, jump into level 1, and push boxes onto the goal tiles to complete the puzzle. Once a level is solved, we fade smoothly into the next one. And when all 3 levels are complete, the game ends. So Sokoban is a classic Japanese puzzle game from the 80s, and it's still one of the best examples of clean game design. You control a character on a grid, and your job is to push crates onto the goal tiles. You can only push, never pull, and you move one tile at a time, almost like a turn-based game. The challenge comes from planning ahead. If you push a crate into a corner or against a wall, you may have just made the puzzle unsolvable. That combination of simple rules and deep strategy is what makes Sokoban such a great learning project. It forces us to think about state, movement rules, collision, and win conditions, which are fundamentals you'll use in almost every game you make. Under the hood, this project follows a clean layered architecture. When the user visits our webpage and views our game, we're going to use Phaser for all of our rendering logic. Phaser is going to draw our game onto the HTML canvas, and it's going to be responsible for drawing our individual game objects, our tiles, and our overall level. Now the core logic for Sokoban, things like checking moves, moving the player, and detecting level completion, this is all going to live in its own class, completely separate from Phaser. Then our Phaser scene is going to handle our visuals, inputs, and scene transitions. This separation is what makes the game easy to test, extend, and even reuse later if we wanted to build a plain JavaScript version or port it to another engine. And so how this will work is from our Phaser scene code, we're going to detect when a player presses one of our keys. In our example here, if our player presses our left key, our game scene is going to call our Sokoban game instance and then call our move player method. We'll pass in which direction the player wants to move. Now internally, Sokoban's going to validate that this is a valid move for the player, and if the player can move into that position, we'll update our grid. Our game instance will return back to our game scene if this was a valid move or not, and then our game scene is going to update and re-render what's visible to our player. So it's going to update our player's position and our box's positions as our player moves around our level. It'll finally check with our Sokoban game if we've won our game, and if so, we'll transition to our next scene. So for our game, we'll be designing all of our levels by using tile maps. How this will work is for our single tile map, we're going to break it into multiple layers. Each of our layers will be responsible for one type of tile or game object in our game. So for our first level here, this would be broken up like so. We'd have a layer for our player, a layer for our goals, a layer for our boxes, and then for any decorations or blocking tiles, our floor tiles where our player and boxes can be moved, and then our walls where our player can't move to. With how we'll structure our core logic, we could also build our levels with another format, such as a 2D array that's made up of strings or numbers that represent our tiles for our game. This will help make our game flexible and keeps our code portable. So now for our Sokoban logic class, this is going to be the brain of our project. It's going to store the current level grid, it'll know where everything is, and it's going to handle our player movement rules. For our class, we'll need to define our public API contract, and this is how our Phaser scene is going to interact with our class. So this will include methods for like moving our player, checking if we've won the game, and for getting a copy of our game state. And then internally, our move player method, this will be responsible for checking for things like, is there a wall in that direction? Is there a box? Can it be pushed? If all of our boxes are on our goal after our push, then our level is complete. Finally, for our game, this will be broken into multiple states or multiple Phaser scenes. When we first launch our game, we're going to show a custom loading scene that'll update as we load the assets we need for our game. Once we've loaded in all of our assets, we'll transition over to our title scene, and then from our title scene, once our player clicks, this will take us to our first level in our game. Once we complete our first level, we'll go to our second level, and then our third level. Once our player finishes all of our levels, we'll go back to our title scene. We'll be keeping our transitions simple for now, just to fade in and out, but this architecture makes it easy to plug in a level select or fancy transitions later. So by the end of this course, you'll understand how to build tile-based puzzle games from scratch, and your code base will be clean, modular, and ready for future projects. In our next lesson, we'll start setting up our project and adding in our assets we'll need for our game. Let's get started.